All right, today we're going to be looking at Transformers Masterpiece Prowl, and we're going to be looking at the knockoff version. And what I have here is I also have Smokescreen and Blue Streak, and we'll look at them and compare them and see the little bit of retooling that might have done and how this one compares to the other two. And these are all three of the knockoff models, so this is probably $40 cheaper than what you would find them online. Like normal, you see it comes in the nice box. You can see the gloss over the pictures. It has some foil, some silver foil on the masterpiece. It's got the picture of the car here. Again, you got the nice bright silver on here. So the box looks great. The boxes are even a display piece. If anything, I would display it and put the boxes behind as a background. But let's go take a look inside and see what it looks like, and we'll look at the transformation and how it holds up, just basically compared to the rest of them. So I've already taken this out before. Let's look at this. Move that. Obviously, we have our normal instructions, and we have the Prowl card, which I'm not going to get into. This is the bag from the little missile launchers. They're not really missile launchers, I guess, they're just, straight guns, but they don't really do anything. And these come with it. So on some of the other versions, you have to buy these separately. These come with it. And these are the exact same ones that come with Blue Streak. There is no difference whatsoever. They're exactly the same. So that is... that's kind of an added bonus. What's neat about all three of the guys is all three of these guys have different guns. So you can see he's got a little bit of like a twin carbide tip right here. This one is exactly the same. So, excuse me, these two come with the same gun, and Smokescreen does not. His is different. You can see his has this little piece up here, like more of a spike up here, and does not have this piece. So sorry, these two are exactly the same gun. However, the hilts are different. You have a white hilt here, and you have a gray hilt on here. One goes with the white car, one goes with the gray car. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so let's take a look and see first of all, what the differences are. From here, you can see the difference. Really, it's just going to be the paint job. One thing you have is you do have the lights up here, because Prowl is a police car, so you have those added on, which is different. But I believe, except for the head sculpt, everything else is completely the same. And even looking at it now, I can see that everything really is exactly the same. It's just painted in a different manner. You look underneath, you can see the transformation. They look exactly the same underneath. Now, I don't have a Smokescreen in his car mode, but just standing up, we can see some of the differences right here. And the differences are even more astute when he's actually transformed. But in the car, the biggest difference is this. He's got this little, I don't know, it's not a spoiler, but this extra grill, because he's a race car, so he's got this extra grill underneath here, whereas this one just kind of stops. You see the bumper and it just stops underneath that. This right here, the blue stripe, that's where the bumper would be, and he has this piece underneath. Another difference is obviously Smokescreen does not have the lights, and he also has two little holes drilled up here where he doesn't. You see, this is just nice and flat right here. But he has two little holes that have been drilled in here, so he can hold those in his car mode. Now, there's also some other things that have been done for him in terms of retooling, but like I said, that'll be a lot easier to look at when we get to the transformation. So one thing, paint apps look great on this guy. You can see it's all nice. There's no misspellings, which you always have to worry about when you're looking at knockoff Transformers. And he just looks really nice. The paint really flows. I haven't seen a lot of flaws or anything like that, and he just looks like a really good police car. I've transformed this guy many times, and actually all three of them, and all three of them transform really, really nice. So again, you have the nice highway police patrol on here. You have the headlights. You have these kind of there's a little bit of silver on the tip of the lights right here, but then it's actually a translucent plastic. You have kind of a clearish, blackish plastic here, which you can see inside, but not like a lot. You really can't tell if there's not an actual, seat and steering wheel and all that in there. Wheels are nice. They are not rubber. They are plastic. I believe they're all plastic, but they are nicely silver on the inside. Again, you have some nice coloring here. They even colored the windshield wiper in the back, so that's pretty good. And this little window right here on both sides, these are colored. Whereas this is actually dark clear plastic. So in terms of the paint apps on the car, really good. I really like it. I think they've done a really good job. And as you can see, you know, just from these other two, these guys look great as well. I mean, they look fantastic. And especially Smokescreen back here. He is very, very colorful. So let's go ahead and take a look at what you can do first of all when he's in this mode. Again, you can hold the gun right here. When he's holding the gun with his hand, hold it like that. When he's holding it on the car, you can hold it like that. Okay, so either way works fine. So this right here, just push that in there, and you know, you can go up and you can go down, but you can't go side to side, and that's fine. Now there's also some little tabs right here, and that's where these guys tab in when he's in the car mode. And again, I love how the Transformers universe has now made it that when they're in their alt mode, they can hold all their weapons. That is really nice to be able to do. It doesn't take all that much engineering to put another little peg somewhere, but there you go. So he looks pretty good. He looks like he's ready to fight some Decepticons, and again, perfect. I cannot say that in terms when he's in this alt mode, I don't see any difference between this and the actual sanctioned Hasbro or Takara version. Again, you can see here he's got the little emblem for the car. He's got the Autobot symbol. The Autobot symbol might slightly be to my right a tad, but again, it's hard to say. And you know, even on the regular Hasbro and Takara figures I've seen before, they can be that way as well, not necessarily centered. So let's transform him. Transforming all three of these guys is the same for the most part, except for a Smokescreen. And you start by breaking your car in half, which you never really want to do. But you just kind of get this and just kind of pull down a little bit, and this will really just break in half. So you can either do the front half or the legs. I always like to do the legs first. So what you do here is you pull out, and then you need to come inside here and swivel this whole piece down. Oh, come on. There you go. Swivel this down, and you can do the other side as well. Swivel that down as well. Now, this is the hardest part of the transformation, is there's a swivel in here, a double swivel, and you need to separate these two, but you don't separate them down, you separate them going opposite ways like this. So you grab this here, and there you see, it kind of just, there's the double swivel right there. So you pull them apart, move this up, and push it back in. So when you do that, this now releases the leg, and you can pull the whole leg out, and you can see how you get a nice big chunk of leg with that. So go ahead and push this piece down. Now there's another little flap in here that's hidden when he's in the car mode. Go ahead and push that up. That kind of fills up some of this space here, and then put this, and then the leg is pretty secure. It's a little floppy, but and I don't mean floppy because of the joints, I mean just floppy because of the transformation. It kind of moves around. So same thing with this one. We're gonna grab this, we're gonna try and split this apart. Again, you got that double swivel down here. Pull it up, pull the whole leg down, push this piece down, and push this piece around. Okay, and that will hold it. Now for extra stability, here's his exhaust. You can flip that back. And there's also just a little black panel, little foot panel here. You just get your pinky underneath there and flip that back. And that's the legs. Okay, so the legs are pretty good. We will have to turn the whole waist around, but let's do the rest of the transformation first. So now you want to flip it this way. Just grab the tires and pull the whole hands down. So these just pull down. You can pull them down like this. Just get them out of the way. You know, you don't need anything special. Pull down this little piece that hides his head and open his little slot right here. So just push that through. Now you're gonna bring up his head all the way up and through, and you can just pull this whole piece down. Now, because you pulled these down, you want to move them back up, move this one back up so it kind of fits in the tire well, and push this in, and that will catch. Okay, so now if you want, you can pull this whole canopy up, swivel his legs around, and pull his waist things down if they're up. So now let's do the arms first. Okay, so the arms, let's get him to take a look at us. Okay, so arms, just move it down like this. You can see that's pretty ready to go. Arms are pretty easy for this guy. Not much required. Pull out the windows, and now you have this piece. So what you want to do here now is pull this whole thing down and put that in there. Now, these guys can stay underneath here, and that's fine, but if you want him to have the little blasters on his shoulders, let's go ahead and pull them forward first. Okay, so but you can always put them back down there if you want, and then just push this whole thing in. Okay, and actually, if you can see, there's a little piece of plastic here, and it tabs into right there. So you just bring this up, and that tabs in nice and tight. So here he is. This is Prowl, and he looks pretty good. He's a pretty sharp guy. Let's take a look at the paint apps first, and then we'll look and compare him to Smokescreen, because Smokescreen is exactly Smokescreen is different, whereas Blue Streak right here, he's pretty much the same. So let's take a look. First of all, Prowl's head sculpt is perfect. Looks just like the G1. He's got the nice little red pieces coming up here. He's got blue eyes, nice silver face, and white everything else. It looks great. Again, we saw the front of the car before. It molds in perfectly well with this. The lights really kind of shine. You know, these guys, there's metal inside them, but we're going to cover them up in a little bit anyway. But we'll leave them there for now. He's got a silver belt around here, and then on his waist he's got the 2 white and the red. Now for this guy, I don't see hardly any bleeding. It's just painted great. It's just not a lot of bleeding whatsoever. Sometimes in like the cassettes that were knockoffs, there's a little bit of bleeding and paint on those, but these guys are bigger, and I think the paint apps were easier to do, so you don't see all that much. And again, with his legs, this is all that we saw before with the car, and he looks great. Alright, so let's take a look at the differences between him and Smokescreen in terms of what they've changed. Alright, so what have they not changed? Well, they have kept pretty much the legs the same, except now he has a spoiler here, whereas this guy doesn't. But except for that, they've also done a slight retooling right at this. You know, here the brake lights go all the way across. Here they don't. There's actually an indentation right here for a license plate, and I believe if you get some of those retro labels, they actually have a license plate you can put on there, which would look pretty nice. Waist, exactly the same. No differences in the waist. The only difference is he's colored and he's not. Exactly the same. Alright, so here's where you get to the most of the changes, and the most of the changes are at the top. Obviously they have different face sculpts because they're different people, but as you can see, the arms are different. He's got some extra swivels here that you can put so the tires go to the top of him and his arms hang down below the tires, whereas in Prowl the tires are to the back. So that's a pretty big difference, and obviously the biggest one, which I have not talked about, is the grille. Well, I mean, I talked about it in the car, but not yet, as they're in the robots. You can see the grille is very, very different. So it's a really nice job they did to get these characters out of the same sculpt and make them look so different. And even Blue Streak, when you put him in a transformation, after you transform into his robot mode, they look way different. Now, also another difference is this. He's got these little tabs right here because they're easier to hide, and then they just peg into this. So they peg in, and then they go back here. So let's take a look at his now. Now, in terms of Prowl's, see, Prowl's got the gun here, and he's got this wide open area. So these you just stick in there like that, and that'll go off the top of his. Now you can put in one if you only want one. You know, I believe Hound only had one. You know, some of the other guys only had one, you know, by their head. So if you want to put in just one of these missile launchers or whatever, that's fine, and you can hide the other one back where we had it before. You can easily do that in this transformation mode, in his robot mode. Alright, so again, we can flip this down, and there's a little groove in his hand, so it matches up with the groove of the gun. So you can see he holds, oops, I just opened his hand. He holds the gun quite tight. So, looks pretty good. Alright, let's move him back here, and put him back to the side, and let's see what he can do. Alright, so like almost all the guys now, his head is on a ball joint. He can look up, down, all around. You can move the doors back and forth a little bit if you want to. You know, if you want to move them a little further back or straight forward, whatever you like, you can do that. Shoulder can move up and down. It's on a ball joint right here, so it can go up, and it's kind of like on this nice little ball joint swivel, so it can go anywhere. You can rotate the elbow back and forth, up and down, and you can even turn it if you want to, like that. So you can move it all around. Hand is a single joint right here. You can turn his hand any way you want. but all 4 of his fingers are on one joint and his thumb does not move. Okay, so some of the earlier guys, you have their thumbs moving, you know, some of the Seekers and stuff like that, but they do not move on here. The flaps on the side of him, those move. You can put them out a little bit, you know, something like that, if that's what you want to see, or keep them straight down, which is usually what I prefer. Waist, again, waist can go all the way around because that's part of the transformation. These are on a big ball and swivel joint, so his legs can go anywhere. You know, his legs are quite posable, you know, so he can stand something like this if you want. Really anywhere. His legs are really, and they're on a swivel joint on the inside, so they do really well. I'm a big fan of his legs. And then let's see, what do we do past that? Okay, so his knees can go back and forth. They cannot turn side to side, and you have some movement here in his foot, and that's just kind of from the transformation, not like they really put it in there for the foot. The foot is probably the least movable part of him. These guys are supposed to be super posable, so you can, you know, pose him, you know, pretty good, you know, like that. You know, if he wants to kind of have the G1 look of his standing and shooting, they did that a lot. Their legs look super blocky in the show, and actually their transformation looks kind of blocky as well when you do it like that. But he's really posable. He's a really great guy. All right, so I think that pretty much covers everything that he can do, and now let's do the quick transformation back to the car so you can see how to do that as well. First of all, since we did the top last time, let's do the top first. This time it's just backwards order. Pull this off. Again, you can go ahead and stick these guys all the way under, so you just kind of swivel them under. You see they just hide right in there, so it's, you know, like that, no big deal. Let's pull his head out. Now if you want to hide his head now, that's fine. Go ahead and pull this down, push his head back in, and put that down like that, so that hides that. Pull out his flap, and you can bring the whole canopy here if that's what you want to do, but let's do the wheels first. Oh, hang on, these are kind of in the way. I didn't put those in correctly. Let's leave them out for now. All right, there we go. So let's do the wheels next. Let's do this. Okay, so now that we have him like this, you can bring the wheels up like that, and you can see what's going to go on here. Go ahead and put them together, put the fists together, and then you can see right here that they just fold in nicely. There's a little tab right here, right there, which goes into this little notch. You can kind of see the blue going through it. So turn that, same way with this one. Line them up because also their wrists tab into each other. You can see here's the tab on this guy, so that it shows you which way to put them in. And sometimes it's easier to tab them together outside like this, and then just kind of push them in and move them around with your hands, and you can feel they set in really nice. Okay, I was trying to put these in the wrong spot. I always do these little cans wrong, so leave them there. And now you can go ahead and bring this whole thing down and snap it in. Okay, so let's go ahead and leave. The doors open right now because I'll give us a little extra room. And let's do these guys. Now, one thing that's kind of confusing about these, let's move that out, move this out, and you can go ahead and put these back down on both. Put those back in. If you go ahead and put this back in, see like this, it looks like that there is really, crap, I forgot a step. I always forget to do this. Pull this back out. You got to turn the waist first. Otherwise, you can't turn it. There you go. All right, snap. Now we can snap this back in. All right, so now as I was saying, if you look at this and you push it in, it doesn't really look like it's in all the way, but that is in all the way. So what you're going to do now, go ahead, rotate this back in like we did before. You got to move this flap down and then push this whole thing in, and see it tabs in right there. Now you can move, this is the last piece, move that piece back in and it snaps in. Same thing here. Let's turn it this way so you can see. Go in like that, pull this down, bring it in, pull that down, tab it in, Put that in, stick it all together. Oops. And shut the doors, and you're done. And that's him. So that is Transformers Masterpiece Prowl. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe to my station. Thanks a lot.